Hello, I'm Ultregs, and this is an intro video all about me. I'm going to take you on a journey through my life in art and creativity. In this video, I'll be showing you my personal artistic history, all the way from idiot baby to art school wanker to full-grown nonsense illustrator. I want to give you an insight on who I am, where I've come from creatively, how I've progressed, and show off some art I've made over the years, even though it's mostly weird, but who cares? Art is a journey, babes, and I want you to come on that journey with me. I want to talk about my creative highs and my lows. Over the years, I have made a bunch of art that was great and loads of art that was shit. Sometimes you work really hard on stuff and it just doesn't get seen by people. And sometimes you make stuff and it just doesn't make you any money. Before I get started, if you haven't seen my work before, definitely go and check out my Instagram that is on screen somewhere here. All of my new artwork gets posted there, including my time-lapse videos. So if you like my art, check out my Insta, give me a follow, subscribe to this channel, like the video. I've got a lot of ideas for more videos and artwork coming out soon, so make sure to follow along. Right, that's enough plugging that. I'm not a bloody charity case. That's the intro over. Now, for the origin story. Hold on to your tits, settle in and pay attention as we go back through the corridors of time and art and witness the journey of a specky little plonker who has made silly things forever and ever. Way back in 1987, I was farted out into the universe and eventually landed on Earth, where I grew up in the UK. For as long as I can remember, even as a little tiddler, I have always been drawing or making stuff. It didn't matter if it was crayons, pencils, felt tips, painting, a little bit of cutting and sticking. Oof. Loved that. Not much going on in these early years, obviously, although I did get my first job as the Milky Bar Kid. The Milky Bar Kid is strong and tough, and only the best is good enough. Moving on. Sometime in the 90s, here's little old me in middle school. This era is when I became obsessed with drawing. I could sit quietly and draw for hours on end. I would draw my favourite superheroes like Batman and Spider-Man, some of my favourite action figures like Power Rangers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Bucky O'Hare, as well as characters I saw in video games like Street Fighter and Sonic. I would also make up my own weird characters that I made up in my head. Speaking of superheroes, it was around this time I got my second job as Cyclops from the X-Men. While working on this video, I have had to dig out all of my old artwork from my archive, and I found this. This is the only art I have left from that period, and it's pretty f***ing bonkers. Peep the Lego Club sticker on the folder. Yeah, baby, I was pretty cool in middle school. Do you want to see what's inside? Do ya? Okay, fine. I wasn't just arty at this stage, I was also crafty. I remember once making a pretend Game Boy Color out of a cereal box, I think. I even made little fake cartridges to put inside it. I'm not really sure why I did that, because I already owned a Game Boy and a bunch of games, so I don't know, I just wanted to make stuff, I guess. I also remember drawing my own versions of those novelty kids watches that I'd seen in the Argos catalogue. You know, those ones that were like a Mario watch or a Spider-Man one, and it was like a little game as well. When I'd finished drawing them, I would even cut them out and actually stick them on my wrist to pretend it was a real one. Oh, I was a funny little fella. Moving on up to high school, I was rocking a style in this era that I think could only be described as Harry Potter before he was famous with little old lady glasses. Looking back, it's actually a miracle that I didn't get bullied, really. hell. I probably should have been, shouldn't I? High school was a weird one for me. I enjoyed stuff like history and English, but I was absolutely tragic at maths and basically everything else. Art is what I gravitated towards naturally. History and English were fun, but they felt like interests, whereas art felt like a passion that was fun. All the other subjects just kind of felt like work. Unfortunately, I don't really have any art from that period to show you. I must have binned it at some point years ago, which is kind of a shame. I'd started drawing lots of anime at this age, since anime had just started to get shown on TV regularly in the UK around this time. I would also start making some comic strips during these years. I particularly remember one called Gerald and Cowwife. It was a slapstick violence comic, if you can really call something with only 2 or 3 pages a comic. The story was about an old man named Gerald who married a cow who wore a wig for some reason. I never named the cow. They were just called Cowwife. No idea why. I only have one surviving comic strip. The rest is lost to time, sadly, but have a look at this. The gist of the comic was something horrible would happen to one or both of them in a funny way. Lots of accidents, blood splatters, udders, and whoopsies. In the end, I failed all of my GCSEs miserably. But thankfully, I got a B in art. I am not academic at all. I never have been. And it's funny how you get older and you understand your own brain and learning style more, and you realise, maybe after all this time, I'm not actually a massive thicko. Maybe I just can't learn this way. I need engagement, visuals, practical stuff. That's how I learn the best. By the way, in case you were wondering, here's what I looked like by the end of high school. With that one precious GCSE in the bag, some crap comics under my arm and anime on my mind, it's off to art college I go! Art college was a great experience for me. I honestly met some amazing people and really enjoyed being in a comfortable place that I felt more creative in and was excited to get stuck in. At art college, I got introduced to graphic novels as an art form, which I love, cool artists and designers I could actually relate to, punk music and everything about that subculture, and more artistic anime and foreign film. Here is what I looked like during art college. Fun fact about my college, Jamie Hewlett of Tank Girl and Gorillaz fame studied art there in the 80s. One of my tutors actually showed me some pre-Tank Girl drawings that Jamie had done and left behind. It f***ing blew my mind that they kept hold of them. The tutor, quite rightly, said that he would never sell them, and I don't blame him. I had some great tutors in art college who helped me develop and grow. Most notable was writer and illustrator Alan Baker. He was a brilliantly funny and eccentric illustrator with a kind of wacky, mad professor vibe in striped trousers. His work's incredible, by the way. Here you go. Take a look. I remember him telling stories about stuff he would bury in his garden, like ovens and fridges and washing machines just sticking out of the grass all over the place. He was a proper mad guy. I really loved him, honestly. Art college was where I learned to develop a style and find my niche, not just in what I was making, but how I was making it. I discovered watercolor painting and ink. I really liked the bold, inked black outlines and the contrast with watercolor. I learned how to digitize my artwork in Photoshop and started to explore the complexities of Adobe Illustrator. Do you want to see some stuff I made in art college? Do ya? Go on then. It was also fun to be involved in a few exhibitions and show my art off to people outside of the usual crowd. I only have a few snaps, unfortunately, but I really enjoyed them. The only negative I have from this experience that has always left me feeling disappointed, to be honest, is that there wasn't really anything offered to us in terms of how to be an artist or an illustrator as a job. We were taught how to be artists and develop our style and learn the tools and build a portfolio, but not taught how to translate that into cash and employment. I think we had one session about business stuff, got given some book recommendations, and then were kicked out the nest, basically. Yeah, love you doodles, get on with it, good luck. What do you mean you don't know about tax? Are you some sort of idiot? Off you go. Not to mention that when I graduated in, I think 2008, there was a cheeky little thing happening called the global financial crisis. This led to a big recession in the UK, which actually caused the highest unemployment rate we'd seen since like the mid-90s. Being woefully unprepared for starting out as a self-employed illustrator, coupled with an awful employment market, I stepped out into the post-grad world with absolutely no idea what to do next. Now I'm out in the wild, looking for work and hoping I can escape my god-awful retail job and earn some money. Spoiler alert, I didn't escape my crappy job for years. It wasn't for lack of trying though. I had put together a bunch of self-promo bits and bobs to get myself out there. I got an online portfolio set up, sample work printed and posted off to agencies to flog myself. I also had a custom stamp made to print on my own promo bits just to add a bit of personal branding. This is when I had my first experience with professional disappointment and humility. I was contacting hundreds of companies, brands and agencies, mostly by email, to try and get some work.
Please, sir, let me draw you some nice little pictures for a couple of gold coins.
I know how to use Photoshop, honest.
80% of them never got back to me, because of course they didn't, but those that did reply were often rejections like this. My biggest blunder was when I reached out to around 30 or 40 illustration agencies by email to try and get on their books. Unfortunately, because I'm a idiot, I had all of the contacts added as CCs to the email and not BCCs.
Oh, bloody hell, Silly Billy Awards. I win the Silly Billy Awards.
Unsurprisingly, this blunder did not get me a gig. In fact, only one person replied. Dear Jason, just a friendly word in your ear. It's a good idea for prospective agents and indeed clients to think they're being spoken to individually and not collectively, especially when you say you'd like to be repped by us, and it seems everyone else too. Good luck in your endeavours, Helen. Thanks for your email, Helen.
I'll never work in this industry again, oh no!
Moving swiftly on from my initial mistakes, let's talk about some positive things that happened. Some time had passed since graduating college, and I was contacted by my good old buddy old pal Alan Baker about an opportunity to work on a series of gross kids books all about the human body. This would be my first big commercial job as an illustrator, so I was happy as Larry to get the opportunity. Up to this point, I had only made a small income that was sporadic, mostly making gig posters, logos for startup businesses, some branding work and album artwork for local bands. It was very infrequent work and not very profitable, certainly not enough to live off full time. First book was all about snot, with the possibility of also doing other books about sick, poo and farts, if the first one went well. The deal was that the book packager had already written the book and designed the layout. I was just filling in the blanks with my artwork and designing the covers. Working on a professional brief for the first time was kind of intimidating, but it was also a fun challenge, if not a little bit stressful, as the deadline was kind of tight. I was working on this book alongside my crappy retail job at the time, so finding the hours to fit everything in and get it all done was a little bit tricky, but I did it. Once the work was complete and signed off, the book packager travelled to Italy to try and sell the book to other publishers at a book fair. Unfortunately, their books didn't get picked up, so my glorious, snotty, gross artwork never made it to print for disgusting little children to enjoy. On the plus side though, I got paid in full regardless if the book was sold or not. Winning! By now, I was fully leaning into my watercolour and ink cartoon style, as well as getting to grips with more digital art. I was working on personal projects to broaden myself, as well as trying new ideas to make some money and get myself out there more. I had an idea for a t-shirt brand called Bad Face. I enjoyed working on this and feel like I had some solid designs. Unfortunately, it failed before it got off the ground. I entered a painting into a local art exhibition that also had a competition running alongside it. I forget what the prize was. I think it was just like cash money. People attending the exhibition had the chance to vote for their favourite pieces, which was kind of cool. Sadly, my piece didn't win, but I did get a bunch of votes and new people got to see my work they'd never seen it before. So that was cool. I also made a mini comic called Boxing Blind. This comic was loosely based on myself, although only in character. I've never boxed a day in my life, in case you couldn't tell from looking at me in this video. The premise was a feeble little man with glasses had a failing boxing career and gets punched in the face a lot. No matter how many times he gets punched, he gets up again to keep on going. It was fun. Do you want another montage of stuff I made?
Hit it, DJ!
After a good few years of making money here and there, working on some other projects, I kind of just creatively dried up sometime in 2018, I think. I have no idea why, it just kind of stopped. I had hit a big creative dry patch, and for some reason I couldn't motivate myself to keep at it and push through it, so I just didn't. I wouldn't return to art until 2020,
When the dark times began.
2020 began, COVID came along and fucked everything up. I was the most depressed and anxious I had ever been in my life during this period. Despite the horrendous year that it was, my creativity somehow came alive again. I started painting and drawing again and was messing about with new and silly ideas. I got my mojo back. I made a bunch of new work playing with bold lines and a limited colour palette. I got really into painting again using gouache, ink and watercolour. I painted Dayglow bananas. This one's called Bananas After Dark. I painted a rat and some plants and some stuff about death. I painted some very sweet things for the lovers on Valentine's Day. I made a funny little carton of eggs come alive with personality and stupidity. These are called scrambly eggs. Do you want to be friends? Do ya? I made some things for the 80s and 90s wrestling fans out there. Shout out to Hasbro for these sick wrestling toys, by the way. I loved these as a kid. We had a bunch of them, including the old blue ring that had the little sound effects machine attached to it. Oh, that was the best. I painted things about music for the rockers, all based on lyrics and songs. Shout out to Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes. Best band ever. Thank you very much. Thank you. No further questions. I even painted something for all the cowboys and cowgirls out there.
Yeehaw!
I discovered smear art. I'm not sure if that's the official term, but I'm going with it. It's very messy and you do use quite a bit of paint, but visually it's quite striking. Depending on the colours and technique that you use, the results can be chaotic, psychedelic, or even calming. I tried my hand at lino printing, which was great. It's a medium that I had not tried since college, so it was actually really fun to try it again. The process was a bit rough and ready and very messy, not to mention how tricky it can be to cut the lino right and having to transfer the design to print in reverse, but I ended up making 2 prints that I was super happy with. My digital illustration was once again in full swing, making weird and wonderful, silly things. I also tried my hand at live streaming my art, which was actually lots of fun. Having people watch my work come together live was really satisfying, and people that were watching had some nice feedback to give, which was great. I even made this Die Hard picture for a Christmas stream. I loved making that. It's totally stupid. Sticking with digital art, I also started experimenting with making 2D art assets with animation for video games using Unity, which had mixed results. Making assets for games is kind of tricky, it turns out. Making the art is the easy part. It's the technical bit that is most challenging, obviously. But it was a fun experience to try, and I hope to go back to it in the future. I would absolutely love to see some of my art assets in games one day. We'll see. I had another unintentional creative break after 2023 and didn't start making things again until August 2025, when I discovered my love for collage. This discovery sparked my creative fire again, and I went all in on collage and digital collage art and illustration. Since then, I've been consistently making art in this style, a big mix of original illustration and collage, whether physical or digital. I find it such an interesting and complex way of working, blending imagery and text found from old media, magazines, print, and digital history, combined with my own illustration. I especially love making things that are a bit surreal, the blend of old and new, making things a bit wacky and weird. To me, it's such a vibe. I really enjoy how it comes together. I even made this video. Everything in this video was made completely from collaged items, mostly from physical items that I'd found in books, magazines and elsewhere, but also some bits found digitally, like some of the text. I'm really happy with what I've made so far, and I'm loving my current style and the results it's producing. I'm loving coming up with new, weird and wacky, wonderful ideas and applying that to my solid digital illustration style, as well as throwing a load of collage at it and mixing it together. I think it just works so well. I really love it, and it's so fun to create like that. Creatively speaking, you could say, I'm back in action, baby! So there you have it, my entire life in art, with the good and the bad. It's been a really nice process going back through all this old stuff. A lot of the things, to be honest, I'd completely forgotten about and didn't even know if I still had them in my archive. Thank you so much for sticking around to hear me waffle about my arty-farty history. I really do appreciate it. This video has been a lot of work, and I really hope that you've enjoyed watching it. Anyway, love you, bye!